first get interested in music?
Well, I think it's in my DNA, honestly. My parents used to tell the story when I was a little boy about how one of the first things I did as a kid was rock in the cradle, in the crib when they would play certain things. And they found out quickly what my favorites were, which was the Everly Brothers' Wake Up Little Susie and School Days by Chuck Berry. So it's in my DNA. Yeah.
And when did you first start learning how to play a musical instrument?
Well, it's been kind of happenstance because my dad was a musician and all my brothers and sisters played. So music was a constant in the house from as far as I can remember. I was really inconsistent, as a kid, kind of a dreamer, but there's music all around me. And so it took me a while to kind of land on an instrument because my dad was classically trained and so was my mom. They wanted me to do it right, and I wouldn't, So this one Christmas when I finally got up the nerve to ask for a guitar, my dad didn't buy me the guitar. He bought a guitar, but he gave it to my brother, which would be crushing, you know what I'm saying? It was devastating. But in the long run, he was right because my brother practiced. My brother is an amazing jazz guitar player now. So it took me until I was maybe 14 or 15 that my older brother had a bass and I would sneak and play it when he wasn't around. And then I finally got my first nylon acoustic guitar at 14 or 15. But I'd played instruments before that. Finally I started playing French horn and baritone horn in 6th grade, and I played that through high school. But I picked up on the rock thing in my freshman year and self-taught.
Okay, and when did you get in your first band?
I think maybe I was 18 or 19. I know that it was in my senior year of high school that it developed. So once the faucet was open for a while in the end of the 70s, I was kind of like just going kind of crazy, just playing all the time with a lot of different people. I had been in this band called Full Clip, which was kind of a hard rock band, and we'd made the World Herald articles, and it looked like maybe something was going to happen with that band, and that fell apart because of hard drugs, crystal meth, okay? So then I went back to doing nothing but working, okay? And it was during that period of record collecting, starting to focus in on punk, post-punk, getting really inspired by Joy Division and Wire in particular, where I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put up an ad. On the ad I said, are you into this? So I started with post-punk, but I also listed Japan, David Sylvian and Yellow Magic Orchestra. Then I also listed Prague. I'm ready to do it, And so I only had one person answer the ad, that was Steve Sheehan, and he came over, we hung out. He couldn't play anything, but he had a pump organ. I said, well, bring it over, we'll see what happens. Even if we couldn't play a note, there was something magic that happened, we just vibed. And so we kind of dreamed the band up, and that there was an attempt to be serious about being a band, as much as we understood. When Digital Sex broke up, I thought I was done with music for good, actually. And I can't remember exactly the year, but I think I sat at home for a good year or two and didn't go out at all. After that. And the solo thing developed when I got back involved in music in the 90s.
When you hear the term Flyover Country, what does it mean to you?
Well, it's a term that we grew up with, which is that Nebraska and the Midwest is flyover country. Jack shit happens here, So, you look up in the sky and you see planes with, there they go, Honestly, it's been said recently. But that was the mentality that I grew up with, that this is flyover country. It's nothing. We're nothing. Except we're number one, Huskers.
What was it like writing your first movie score?
It's been a real interesting growing experience. It's been a challenge. Because first off, I've always been told by everyone that my music is perfect for soundtracks, okay? Which, this was a chance to find out if that's really true. The experience has been inspiring, invigorating, and frustrating, because it's like the thing I know best to do is to just express myself. And then when it becomes specific, depending on the specificity, it's either a challenge or I can flow with it. I feel like I think I met the challenge.
Yeah, more than that. Now, what was the process you used to come up with some of the different tracks that you eventually put together that are so perfect?
Well, what is interesting is seeing the movie, getting an impression. Also, you talking to me about how you originally saw the beginning. When I went home, I was able to start right away. So, what I'd like to share with you regarding working on the soundtrack is that due to my equipment being kind of low on the low end, I have a lot of latency issues regarding when I play and record. So, like when I record something, I record it in real time and I quantize it, but even after quantizing it, I usually have to move the notes. And so what I literally have to do is come in here and in the MIDI domain, I take the notes and I move them where they need to go. And with this one, I literally just started with the beat. A little bit of sound. And those sequences, here are the sequences where, see, it's not an automatic program. I have to write the sequences out. So here you can see that.
How did you determine how many layers to use? And was it just trial and error, improvisation?
It really comes down to what the ear is telling you. I like music to have, not to, doing the right thing. I don't want the music to have too much going on, but at the same time, I don't want too much space depending on the piece, okay? So like this one here, there's really not that many tracks, what, about 16 here? So but even though this is the theme for the movie and it's done for the movie, I could come back to it in a month or two and say, oh, now I hear this, you know? It never ends, it never ends. But this one, I did labor because I wanted, there's space, but there's several things going on that you can, even this part. So it's like, this is like background music, but it also gives you plenty to focus on if you want, which is kind of, and honestly, you know, even though I wrote this music for the movie, the way that I approach writing music is I'm writing it for me. I'm gonna listen to it. And so it's gotta be listenable to me. And I'm not the sort of person who's pop oriented where I have to have a vocal that defines everything. So for me, the focus and the purpose is to make the music interesting. And so that's why I have all these little, you know, and then now the space. Just kind of keeping it interesting, kind of like a movie, or I'm driving down a street, you see this, and you see that, then this happens, and that happens. And that's the other thing. If that happens, if I find myself doing this, I know I'm on the right track. Yeah, I ended up writing about 78 pieces of music for you to choose from, and I'm still developing a lot of it. You know, I have like 2 or 3 albums worth of music already that I'm working on.
How do you feel this movie uses music?
I didn't know what to expect until I saw the scenes with the music, and it really worked. If you remember, I kept saying, well, this is really working. This is really working. And what I like about it is that the music, it augments. It doesn't distract. It doesn't detract. It's not thrown in for, some movies, they'll throw in music as a distraction. And to me, including the songs by the other bands, which you chose very carefully, the music serves the purpose of augmenting what we want people to get out of the story. That's how it plays to me.
What do you hope people take away from this movie?
This is your movie, but I own it a little bit, okay?
That's right.
And what I own about this movie is what I call the heart of the movie. This story is very real. Many people watching this movie may see themselves or aspects of themselves. It's not that the movie is trying to make this big statement or message. We're in the middle, we're in a red state, and yet there's a large gay community here. And so there's a lot of people who are kind of living on the edge, you know what I'm saying? And I just think there's a great potential for this movie to be the people's movie. It's not telling everyone's story, and it's not trying to be a documentary, but there are so many elements of what, I'll say we have gone through and go through in this area, just trying to be a human, just trying to be honestly what you are. And that comes out in the movie, you know, it does. It comes out really clear in a lot of ways. And if folks get into the story, I think that's the strength. It's a good movie. It's the story. I think that's what I think is the connections that people can see this and relate to it.
And let's talk about the future for you. What are your next projects?
Well, I do first off want to thank Objectif 49 for asking for my services, because I've already done another film already, a documentary. It's a private thing. It's like for fundraising. But I did that. I just told you I just got an email about another possible project. Besides doing this, when I retired in my job, I started my own record company. So I've been making records. And so this, besides coming out as the proper CD soundtrack release with the film, I'm working on a vinyl version of it, which will be different. You know, it'll feature some of the music in the movie and some that didn't make it. So I'm working on that for my next vinyl release. I just started a new improvisational band with some amazing musicians in Omaha. I'm collaborating with an artist in San Francisco, punk artist who is in a band called the Flesh Eaters, and we're doing this long distance. It's more of a dark kind of industrial thing. That's just getting started, but so I don't know what will happen with that. But the idea is, you know, once we have something good enough, we want to make a record. I need to generate more income, and so I'm about to mount one-man shows, which I'm excited about, but not. You know, I like playing live, but it's the wintertime. It's the time to play, but I hate the weather. You know what I'm saying? But those are some things that are coming up. You know, movie work, more movie work. Band work, working on records, getting ready to, besides play with the new band, to do solo shows. I really refuse to think regular. I'm not thinking career. I'm just doing it. I'm just doing what I want to do.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to say?
I love working with you. I love working with you too. And I don't ever mean to be condescending when I tease you. It's an act of love, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
It is. You're a character. And Neva, the fact that Neva's involved, it's like, you got Neva on board, you know, you guys are living in the light, you're not living in the dark, you know what I'm saying? So you got me. You know what I'm saying? This is awesome.